Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. That you have been enjoying the program thus far. My name is Bilal Baqai, and we are going to be shortly getting started with the next session, inshallah. So we have a great lineup of speakers, alhamdulillah, as well. I just wanted to make some quick announcements. One of the main goals for this conference, inshallah, is to inspire you guys to join ICNA, ICNA, and in your local communities. Please, look online, look to volunteer. You can go on www.icna.org/volunteer. Or you can also participate by donating. As you can see below, that we are in deep need for your financial contribution. Typically, the convention would be a great location where we would be able to do this, but unfortunately, due to COVID, the pandemic has caused a lot of our cash flow to be to resend as well. So please make sure, if you are able to go on www.icna.org and click donate. We do have some time for questions as well, inshallah. So I would like to pose this question, and I think it's kind of applicable to all of our three speakers, inshallah, but we'll try to go in order of those who presented. One of the amazing abilities of the Prophet ﷺ was his ability to carry everyone as an ummah, and as Imam Khalid mentioned, that even if with people with different backgrounds, but how do we in America try to overcome the differences and really move as a single front? I think they might be on mute.
Yeah, you would think that after doing so many webinars that I wouldn't try to talk with my mute. I do this every single time. But I would respond to that by saying that the formula for bringing diverse Muslims together is, in my humble opinion, is that of having committed Muslims. Because the commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we are committed to that, then the considerations of the differences that we have with one another will be overridden, overrode, or whatever the word would be here. So I think that the more committed group of Muslims who are in alliance together, who are working together, those issues of differences become so nominal, and just the work for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overrides those other considerations, like it did during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sure, Jazakallah khair. Dr. Shahid, would you like to add anything to that as well, or should we move on?
We can move on to the next question.
Okay. All right, inshallah. So, Dr. Shahid, I had specifically for you, you mentioned an ayah of Surah Al-Hujurat about which talked about talking over the Prophet ﷺ, and I would just wanted you to finish the ayah because it has such a huge implication of what the result would be, right? That your deeds could be destroyed. And so if you could elaborate on that.
Knowingly or unknowingly, if we really disrespect in any capacity the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us here that we should be very careful and watchful of our actions, our attitude, our approach, our responses. So when dealing with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not like dealing with anybody else in the world. You are dealing with a person that about whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَرَفَعَنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that Allah is the one who has raised his zikr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is warning here, أَن تَحْبَطَ أَعْمَالُكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. If you will transgress, if you will cross your boundary, then this will delete, this will, clean your slate of your book of Amal. So a lot of time I have seen the attitude here, especially these days. There is an effort going on among Muslims. There are some scholars who really want to make this as an issue, and their point is that Quran is enough. The messenger's duty was just to deliver Quran, and they basically are trying to undermine the value of hadith, the value of the personality of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in our iman. So in this context, I want to be very, very careful when we deal with Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that we really don't want to get indulged in anything which can really put us in a very bad situation when we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I really feel like that's why it is very important for us. I said in the beginning of my talk that our faith, our iman is based, the basic foundation is the respect and iman and acknowledgement and understanding of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Jazakallah khair. Brother Javed.
One thing I want to add, Bilal, to this question specifically about the Prophet ﷺ. And many times we also see this kind of attitude where people are saying, well, wait a second, but this is a da'if hadith. Well, wait a second, stop. Do not, if you don't know anything about it, maybe there are scholars sitting together discussing on a topic, and they're discussing from an academic perspective. That's a different setting. But in the normal setting, when people are sitting and somebody presents an argument, well, this is read this in the hadith. Now, don't start, negating that, even if you don't know. If you know, or unless you have very, very methodical, proper knowledge of the topic, I suggest you stop. Maybe later on, go investigate, find out, and maybe share that. But do not start to, become a scholar and an expert at the time. What if that hadith is true? Maybe it's a da'if hadith, that's fine. But what if it's true? And تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. I mean, this is so talking over and talking above the voice of Prophet ﷺ, it's not just about in physical sense, but even of what he said and what he did. So we have to be extremely careful.
Jazakallah khair. So we have 3 minutes left, and I do have one last question, Brother Javed, for you as well. This was posted, actually. It's asking, how do we deal and talk to Muslims who claim that insulting the Prophet ﷺ is a form of freedom of speech?
Especially with respect to the freedom of speech, so they agree with it or disagree with it?
So they're asking, how do they deal with Muslims who claim that this is freedom of speech?
Okay. So, and I think Dr. Jamal Badawi in his speech presented, and he actually wrote an article on this many years ago, and he talks about the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression. And even today he alluded to that and kind of gave details of that. And I think people need to understand there are always taboo topics. For example, the anti-Semitism perspective, the Holocaust perspective. There are several topics that are either on a national level or an ethnic level. They are considered to be, for example, Imam Khalid is here. There are certain words from an African American perspective that are taboo, that are completely unacceptable, right? But those are words, right? You can argue the point, like, well, those are just words. I just meant to say this word. Well, wait a second. Words have a history, has a meaning, and has an impact. And this is just across the board. So accepting, how many people can say, well, I can curse this person or that person online or say this and that about him. But there are sensitivities that people don't cross. There's in every nation, in every culture, in every time, even today, in different part of the world, these subjects are very real. So and again, there are norms within society. There are forms of respect that are obligatory. So we are human beings. We are not animals, right? We are human beings, and there are some lines of civility that need to be always minded. Yes, you can disagree about something, respectfully, but freedom of speech doesn't mean that you just go into to the point where you just start to curse. And there are certain norms that needs to be respected. So that's what I would say to these brothers, and I would ask them to learn more about it. Read about these other instances where societies and ethnicities and nations respect certain characters, certain norms, certain behaviors, certain words. That's a very common notion. It's not something unique.
No, yeah, I think you really nailed it with the idea that there are certain limitations in terms of, even, for example, yelling fire in a packed room of people. It has consequences. It's dangerous to do such things. So Jazakallah khair. I would like to thank each of our panelists and speakers one last time on behalf of the organization. Thank you guys for sharing gems with us and about the life of the Prophet. And this is just a small step in the right direction of learning about our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So hopefully today you were motivated by a speech, a lecture, a quote, a gem that will make your journey to learn about the Prophet ﷺ's life and start that journey, inshallah. And with that, I would also like to thank the organizers who put this together. It's amazing that, alhamdulillah, even within a pandemic, we are able to connect each other and convey the message to the best of our ability. And as mentioned throughout the program today, one of the main goals of this conference is to inspire attendees to act, to get up and volunteer, to do something, and inspired by the life of the Prophet ﷺ, whether it's participating through ICNA or elsewhere within your local community, but at least become active. And lastly, I would like to just request everyone that if you have not are not volunteering with ICNA, be sure to sign up. You can go to www.icna.org/volunteer, and you can sign up and become part of a local chapter. One of the greatest things about ICNA is their grassroots effort, and so their local chapters, local units that you can engage with, inshallah. And lastly, if you are able to donate with, if not your time but financially, make a monetary contribution, please do so by visiting www.icna.org/donate. Jazakumullah khair.